Welcome to my madness, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Astonishing Ant-Man from Marvel Legends. And first we're going to look at all the accessories that this figure comes with, which is spare hands. And I mean, I guess, like, what else could he come with? You know, he doesn't have any weapons, and his power is, you know, kind of hard to put in plastic form. I don't know, maybe like an ant or something, I don't know. Anyway, he comes with a couple spare hands, and that is it. So, we have the figure itself. And this is the standard Sunfire body, which you've seen multiple times by now if you've been collecting Marvel Legends. So there's really nothing new about the sculpt here, and there's no added details onto the sculpt itself. It is basically the same sculpt with a new paint job, and we do have a couple of add-ons here. We have the belt and the head swap, and that's it. That's really it. That's all we get with this. You get Sunfire body with a belt and a head and a different paint job. Now, that sounds like, man, that's not a lot. And it's not, to be honest with you. But the question is it a good representation of the character? And the answer is absolutely yes. This is a really good representation of a good classic Ant-Man, and I dig it quite a bit. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Sunfire body sculpt, I think it does work well with Ant-Man. It's one of the smaller, you know, male bucks that Marvel Legends has, and when you're talking about Hank Pym, you know, he's not supposed to be a really big dude. He's a scientist, and I think this works for him. And as far as the detailing on the costume itself, it's very well done. You know, we've got the jagged lines there, which is very classic. He's got the belt, which looks great. The head sculpt looks fantastic. I mean, it's simple, but it is elegant and very reminiscent of where this character started. I think that while there's not a lot going on here, it works very well for the character, and I think they did a really good job. So, you know, sculpt is simplistic, but it's good. Paint, again, simplistic, but good. Articulation is exactly what you would expect from the Sunfire body, which is good, solid articulation with butterfly joints and double jointed knees and elbows and thigh cuts and bicep swivels and all that kind of good stuff. And it works. So there's not a lot going on here with this figure, but for the character, it works. And honestly, what more could you ask for? It's a good representation of Ant-Man. So what we're going to do now is throw him up with some other figures, see how this guy stacks up, and move on from there. And I think the most important comparison here, and in fact, honestly, really the only one that's going to matter, is how does he stack up to a classic Avengers lineup, because that's certainly where I'm going to put him in my display. So of course, we've got retro Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, kind of the core team, minus Wasp, and I think he looks fantastic. I mean, he's the shortest character here, as he should be. He's the smallest character here as far as overall build, as he should be, and I think it fits in absolutely perfectly. And again, very, very simple figure, but honestly, with this character, what more do you need? And then, of course, just to compare him with a couple other figures with the exact same buck, of course, we've got Sunfire and we've got the new Havoc. And you can see here, these are all three identical. These are simple sculpts with not a lot going on other than maybe a belt and a head swap. Other than that, they are exactly the same. But again, it works for Ant-Man. And then with just a real quick head swap, if you wanted to do a helmetless Ant-Man, there are a lot of options out there to choose from. This is one that I had that I just thought fit well. It wasn't too big. This, of course, is a MCU Baron Zemo head that I had actually done up for another figure and then decided not to use. And while it is not perfect, it certainly gives the appearance of Hank Pym. So if you wanted to have Hank Pym without his helmet on, there are a lot of head swaps you could do to get that effect. This is just one of many. All right, so now let's talk about price here. And this guy is a Target exclusive with a price tag of 25 bucks. Entry-level price for Marvel Legends. Now, is it worth it? And I would say yes, if you don't have a classic Ant-Man. I think you certainly do need one. He's one of the founding superheroes of the Marvel Universe, and I think he's kind of a must-have for a Marvel Legends collection. If you do already have another Ant-Man, there are a couple of older ones out there that honestly are not as good as this one, but they're out there, and if you've got those and you're happy with them, sure, you don't have to pick this one up. But if you don't, honestly, if you look at the secondary market right now, I mean, price-wise, this is probably the best option because you're getting a better figure than any previous Ant-Man we have gotten, and you're getting it for $25, which if you look at the prices out there, even on the older kind of abhorrent-looking Toy Biz Ant-Man from back in the day, and while that figure was cool because he had a removable helmet, if you find him complete with his helmet, he usually costs $25 or more. So at that point, like, why wouldn't you just get the newer, better one? And I think that's why it is a good deal and is worth it, because if you need an Ant-Man, this is probably the most affordable way to get one. And honestly, it's the best one we've had. So what more can you say about that? Look, I'm glad I got him. I do have one other Ant-Man figure. It is the black costume Thunderbolts Ant-Man. And it's just not something I'm going to put on my classic Avengers shelf. This is something that will definitely be on my classic Avengers shelf because it looks fantastic. I mean, it really does. It's very, very simple, but the character design is very, very simple, so it works. And while we can all kind of sit here and say that, well, there's not $25 worth of plastic here, you're right, there's not, but does it work for the character? And the answer is yeah, absolutely it does. So yeah, I'm glad I picked him up, and I think he's going to look great on my classic Avengers shelf. So there you go, guys. Would love to hear what you think about this figure in the comments section down below. Let me know. Thank you for watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.